strength training should never endanger health. That's a quote from Mark Asanovich, one of my mentors that I use for any information about strength, fitness, physiology, how to exercise. And that was from the interview with Rick Chartrand at his channel, Rick Chartrand Exercise Instructor. Just got turned on to Rick's channel, and he's got a lot of great interviews. Watch another one with Dr. Doug McGuff. He's got a lot of great insight himself, so I'm going to link to that specific podcast, that interview with Mark Asanovich, that you can check out more of Rick's channel. But I think this quote, strength training should never endanger health. That's such a powerful thing to think about. But when you take a step back, it's so freaking obvious that that should be part of the whole strength training program. It's like, where is that today? Because as a healthcare professional, what I do, again, I'm on the bottom end, as Mark talks about, we're the dumbbell guys at the bottom, physicians and doctors there at the top, but we still have an obligation to do no harm. And when you see people doing all of these crazy things in the weight room, it's not an if, it's just a when is someone going to get hurt. And I've had those instances. In my time, I've had one person get hurt doing a box jump, and it was horrifying for me. And again, this was at a time where I was new training. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. The boxes were these sharp, hard boxes. They weren't those soft ones that you see now. And I was just trying to keep up with the trends, and I was just trying to do things that were fun and this and that. And it's like, you're missing the point. The whole point of strength training, building muscle, working with weights, is to get stronger, to get healthier, to protect your joints, to protect yourself from injury. And if in that process, you're doing the exact opposite, what are you doing? And I've been hurt myself in the weight room, doing too much weight, doing things with improper technique, but basic tenets can save you from getting yourself hurt. And in another interview with Rick, he talks with Dr. Doug McGuff, and he talks about seeing people with bad form, but because they were using low speed, they were going slow, he didn't see the rate of injury as much with these people. Now, maybe they were building, but he was surprised to find that, this person that he was talking about, I forget who he was talking about, but they just didn't have great form, but they were going slow. And he goes, is this something that, he was asking Doug, is this something that buffers you against injury? Because, hey, if I'm not putting these peak forces by swinging weights around and moving in these wild, large body movements with pace, and with, again, because you're going to be using weights like a kettlebell or a dumbbell or an Olympic bar or anything like that, am I protected against, injury? And it's basic physics. Force equals mass times acceleration. So if I increase the acceleration, I increase the force. If I increase the mass, the weight goes up, I increase the force. We, with strength training, should be constantly looking for ways to lower force, because force is not the point of our exercise. Now, if I'm in a powerlifting competition and I've got to produce force to be able to lift as much weight as possible, then yes, that's the point. But that's not why people are in the gym. Most people want to get healthy. Like I said, they want to build muscle. They want to protect their joints. They want to prevent injury. If you're in a powerlifting competition or you're building to a competition, you're going to have to use those heavy weights. You're going to have to, get the force up. But that's not the population I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is building, again, especially building muscle. Okay. And I think even powerlifters can learn from what I'm talking about right now. When you're not prepping for a competition, even, as you're going up into that max weight, you should be thinking about, hey, if I can't compete, I'm not going to be able to have even an attempt at the weight. So of course I want to stay healthy, and I should design my training around that. Now there's the skill involved, right? There's these skill elements involved of being able to push those heavy weights, and that's different. So you're going to have to practice that skill, and that's going to come with risk. But we as healthcare professionals, The dumbbell guys, although we're at the bottom of the list, we still have an obligation to our clients and to ourselves, if we're going to train, to make sure that we're doing it in the safest, most effective way possible. And when you go slow, that takes care of itself. Now, of course, you should be using proper body mechanics and you should be using proper form and technique whenever you're doing your exercises. But going slow, it's just so simple. When you take a step back and you go, okay, well, if I use momentum, if I swing from the bottom, okay, on like the bicep curl, if I'm swinging the weights up, well, number one, I'm not using my muscle in my bicep from here to here. I'm maybe using a little bit here, I'm maybe using a little bit here, and then I relax and let it go. Well, when am I getting the work? Not here, a little bit here, and then nothing. So what's the point of me doing the bicep curl? Well, if it's to work my biceps, because I want to work on arm flexion and get into that bicep, then I have to do that movement under load and then progress as we go over time. But if I'm not using the muscle, then what's the point of me doing it? And if when I'm doing that exercise, it's also increasing the risk of injury because of those peak forces, then I'm not only wasting my time with the effect of building muscle, because I'm not stimulating that bicep when I do the exercise, I'm also increasing my risk of injury. So you could kill two birds in one stone by going slower. Yeah, you're not going to be able to use as much weight, but you're going to get the effect of the whole point. Your body doesn't care about how much weight you're lifting. It cares about threat. Your body cares about survival. This is the number one principle you should take away from strength training if you want to put in a good program. You have to threaten your body's survival for it to react. And you can do that safely, but you have to work to failure. And again, if you have a spot, you can do that safely. If you go slow, you can do that safely. If you have machines, you can do that safely. If you have, if I'm using a rack and I put in pins to make sure that if I can't, push the weight back up because I'm failing at my target rep count or wherever it might be, I'm getting to those last reps and I cannot push it back up. I have a safety catch for that. Like I said, I have a spotter, right? Or I'm using a machine that's just easy. Okay, I can drop set and I can do other weight, or I can just gently lower the weight back to where it was because I can't push it back up. So there's ways of doing things safely. But if us as trainers aren't putting that as one of the top priorities for us, if we're looking at, well, this looks sexy in the gym, this is going to make me stand out, this is going to, what are we doing? We're hurting clients, we're maybe not even hurting them, we're predisposing them to injuries when they then go and do whatever activity that they're doing, right? Or in life, or just, have an injury waiting to be uncovered as they go through a sport, or as they go through a run, or as they go through bending over to pick something up. So if we're not doing our part and we're not using basic science, basic physics, basic biomechanics to do these things, then what are we doing? So that quote from Mark Asanovich, strength training should never endanger health, is so paramount, but it's so obvious. And I think that that's how far away we've gotten in our fitness industry today from the actuality of what we should be doing, because it's all about videos. It's all about looking sexy. And most of the people that are doing these videos and have tons of followers, they're sexy, they're attractive, they have great genetics, whether that be a guy or a girl. They can basically eat whatever they want, they can do whatever they want, and they're gonna have a great physique. On top of that, they're probably having some sort of supplement or steroid or enhancement along with that. Plastic surgery, other things to help, because that's part of their business. So I understand it from a business point of view, but from an integrity standpoint, and especially one that's, again, if your job is you want to help people, and a lot of these people want to help people. I'm not trying to knock them for being good looking and having great genetics. That's not what I mean. But what I'm saying is when then you do nonsense on top of it, just so that you can sell more, that's integrity going out the window. A lot of them want to help people, but you can do that. And you're still going to be the creme of the creme, because people, it's an automatic thing. When someone looks a certain way, they automatically gravitate towards them, right? They have the physique that I want. Well, hey, I'm going to gravitate towards them, right? That's just how it goes. But we have to, again, understand that we're still healthcare professionals. And especially the people who have tons of followers, they have an obligation to do no harm and to teach people the right way. And I just think it's sad that people like Mark Asanovich aren't the heads of all of these people's programs, and they're not looking at them going, hey, what should we do, Mark? Well, because Mark's going to give you one lecture and you're going to figure it out from there. It's not hard. It's not complicated. But because it's repetitive, we have this idea that, it's just, the same old things again, and we need something sexy, and we need something new. New is better. Well, it's not. We figured all this stuff out in the 70s. We figured out exercise. We figured out how to make machines. We figured out how to do all these things. Unless if our physiology changes because of something, unless if physics changes, it's going to remain the same. If your goal is to exercise and build muscle and build strength, there's only so many ways you can do that. So do it safely, do it slowly. Look at, again, Rick's channel, Rick Chartrand, exercise instructor. I'm going to link to that interview with Mark Asanovich. Look up Mark Asanovich's lectures. Jay Vincent is my go-to guy, and Doug McGuff. Those are people that if you just look at those 4 channels, those 4 people, you're going to get more than enough information to know what to do with. Okay, they're going to give you way more than any book, anything like that. You can get Doug McGuff's book, you can get all these different things, but just use the free resources that are in front of you, and they're going to blow you away on how simple it can be. Doesn't mean it's not easy or it's not difficult, because it's going to be challenging. You're going to have to put in the effort. That's one of the biggest things. You've got to train hard. You have to train hard. But again, as that intensity goes up, you need to have the safety to go along with it, because if you're not, then what are we doing? Again, what in the heck are we doing if we're in the gym and we're hurting ourselves? If we're taking 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, if I'm hurt for a month, if I train for a month and I'm hurt for a month, then what's the point? I have to focus on doing things the right way so that I can progressively build. So that's all we got for you today. Again, I'm going to link to all those guys in the description, but I'm going to leave you with that quote again. Strength training should never endanger health. Think about your program, stay safe, and get strong, get big, whatever it is that your goal is, but do it safely. Thank you.